again a special episode of Versus, and today we're talking about the Northeast. We're talking about the area where there have been protests for the last few days, and it's all been about that Citizenship Bill, which today, on the last day of Parliament before the next set of MPs get into Parliament, was to be tabled. And it was tabled, but it was not passed, and that's the big question. Because it's not been passed, it has been lapsed, and therefore it will have to be introduced again in Lok Sabha, passed there, and Rajya Sabha would have to pass it again, and then it would become a law. Right now it's still a bill. As a result of that, what happened was that once it was tabled in Rajya Sabha, it has still led to some protests, some celebrations because it's lapsed, and then there was ruckus. Remember, in some states, particularly Manipur, there was an internet shutdown, there was curfew, there was a lot of problems there. Now what's happened is that you have a state-wise situation, and if I just take our viewers through that, you'll get a sense of what has really happened in each state. So let's just start with Meghalaya. In Meghalaya, there was sustained protests before it was tabled in Parliament today, and they are set to continue because the people there protesting believe that they still need to keep the pressure up. So the political crisis may have been averted because Conrad Sangma, he and his government may still be in line with the NDA because while it was tabled, it's not been passed. So all of that has happened in Meghalaya. In Assam, celebrations are there, but there were protests earlier. In Manipur, sustained protests, and there are no celebrations, as we understand. The intense protests were there today. Curfew has been called off. Internet shutdown is over now. In Tripura, protests have ended. No celebrations. Sustained pressure will continue. Nagaland, there were no visible protests even earlier because of the special status for the state, but groups will continue to keep the pressure up. And in Arunachal, the minimal protests earlier will be followed by student bodies. They will keep the pressure up. In Mizoram, after protesters had actually, with posters, welcomed China, also, there'll be no celebrations, but protesters will be wary of the BJP's move, is what we understand. And of course, each other political party will have their own understanding of all that's taken place. You'll be seeing that throughout the show. Now, on the show with me, I have Shivam Shankar, who's a political activist, a data analyst, but more importantly, he's worked with the BJP in helping them revive themselves in the Northeast, in the recent elections in the Northeast. Shivam Shankar with us. We also have Ashok Thakur, who's a leader of the BJP, Varun Santosh, who's a political commentator, and we also have Pradyut, who's a very well-known link to the Congress, and somebody who's very closely associated with all the protests that have been taking place in the Northeast. So let me just start by understanding what is the answer to the question we're asking. Is the BJP going to sink in the next elections because they even tabled this? It may not have passed, but even then. Shivam, you know, you've done the math. Tell us.
So the BJP was actually doing extremely well in the Northeast. According to the latest data that we had, they were going to win about 20 out of the 25 seats. Okay. And that suddenly dropped to 5 seats across the 25 seats of the Northeast, just because of this one issue of the Citizenship Amendment Bill. Okay. Considering the bill hasn't been passed, if they actually went to the people and talked about how they completely misread the situation and brought in a bill that wasn't going to benefit the Northeast in any way and was actually going to be harmful to the social fabric of the Northeast, they could revive support. But as we know, the BJP isn't really a party that actually apologizes for anything. They've refused to accept that there's an unemployment crisis in the country. They've refused to accept the farmers' crisis. So I don't see them backtracking on the issue of the Citizenship Amendment Bill, even though they know that it's a political failure and they're losing support and votes because of it.
Okay. What do you have to say about that, sir? You're from the BJP.
See, this whole exercise, whole bill is based on two traditions. One is our ancestors has set examples for us. They given a shelter to all the religions of the world, and I think only India is the only country where all the religions survived. Even there are 73 firqas in Muslims. They are only surviving in India, not else in the world, even not in the Muslim countries. Therefore, our tradition is to give shelter to those who are facing discrimination, and especially the three countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan is but the part of India. Therefore, I think this is a bill on the right direction. And another thing which is based, that is our constitution, chapter 2 of our constitution, and citizen...
So you're not answering the question. The question is, will this affect the BJP going into the elections right now?
No.
The fact that there have been protests in almost each state in the Northeast,
but
that's not something you can take away.
What our Prime Minister said,
yes,
that we are working for the country, not for the votes. If there is anything
If they're working for the country and not for the votes, at the
Or
end of the
for the
day,
interest of the country.
you're saying that you're happy to lose the
I'm
electoral gains
saying-
that you made in the recent elections, as long as you're working for the country.
But what I am saying, if on the cost of the country, if we are losing something, we are happy with
So
that.
you're admitting that you are likely to lose
No,
in the
no,
elections.
I am not admitting. I am telling that we have to do anything for the nation.
Okay.
Then we will do it.
Okay.
Without,
Varun, you're nodding your
but-
head. What do you mean
No,
by that?
obviously it's a politically engineered situation. They're trying to gain votes in Bengal.
Yeah.
Finally, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And they're willing to sacrifice the Northeast for gains in Bengal. Eventually, they'll land up between, they'll land face flat between two stools.
Okay.
They won't get anything in Bengal, they won't get anything much in Northeast in terms of, they're going to lose both Northeast and they won't gain in Bengal. That's what the reality is going to happen now.
Right.
And, they've shot themselves in the foot with this. And that's because they don't listen to the voices of the people. And obviously, now the opposition forces have gained in Northeast. Regional parties have gained now. And in fact, even the Congress party, Mr. Bhuvanesh Kalita filed a dissent note as a part of the JPC.
Yeah.
Pradeep Bhattacharya from Bengal also filed a dissent note.
Yeah.
And all this will be taken to the people, as a message of what the Congress party stands for, or even the regional parties and opposition have stands for.
Yeah.
I mean, their own partners are left. AGP is left.
Yeah.
Conrad Sangma has taken a stand in Meghalaya.
Yeah.
Why are they doing that? Because they are listening to the people's voices, which the BJP is not listening to the people's voices. They're just trying to run what they think will work in the rest of the country for them.
Okay.
They're trying to engineer and polarize the situation where they'll get votes in the rest of the country, but they will.
Well, it's a big statement. You're saying that they're trying to polarize the rest of the country, and they'll get the gains in the rest of the country.
No, they won't. They won't, because if you look at Amit Shah's statements, he talks about infiltrator, Ghuspetia. That's the language he uses.
Yeah.
But if you look at data,
Yeah.
they'll get only 15% of the vote share for such. The core BJP vote might still stand with them on this, but they are pushing away the floating voters when he says such things.
Okay.
This is a very divisive statement that they're making,
Okay.
and this is not the history of India. And if they really wanted to make a change, bring an asylum policy, right?
Okay.
Bring an asylum policy that's in line with the UN. In line with
Okay. I just want to go across to Pradyut, who's joining us from the video on Skype. Thanks so much, Pradyut. I just want to get your overview on all that's taking place in the Northeast currently and all that's taken place today. How do you see the next few weeks and months playing out after this?
Hi, Amitoj. First of all, it's a great day for all of us in the Northeast, especially in Tripura. We have faced the brunt of migration in Tripura, so we know how it feels to be flooded. The BJP completely miscalculated their step. They could not win over West Bengal by not putting through this motion, and they have lost a lot of goodwill that they may have worked on in the last couple of years in the Northeast. I think it was a poorly calculated step. In one voice, Hemanta Biswa Sarma was saying about Jinnah and Nehru and supporting the bill, and another voice, Biren Singh and Pema Khandu, both BJP chief ministers, were speaking against the bill. There was no cohesion within the BJP, and I think popular sentiment has won. For the first time, I have seen people, irrespective of political parties, combining and uniting against this bill. I think it speaks volumes about how we in the Northeast felt about this.
All right. Okay. I note what you're saying about all that's taken place in the Northeast and what's happening in the Northeast. But I just want to ask you, there's been enough conversation about the fact that whatever the BJP has done with the Citizenship Bill, it's not really for the Northeast. It's trying to get gains in the rest of the country. How do you see that playing out?
Well, I think the target was Mamta Banerjee और Northeast को आपने बली में रख दिया था. लेकिन the fact is that I don't think by them not going through completely with this bill, they're not going to make much penetration into West Bengal. They need to also understand the mindset of an average voter, a typical Bengali voter in West Bengal. So they are not going to make much headway in West Bengal. They have definitely lost goodwill, whatever they had generated in the Barak Valley. And whatever goodwill that they had worked upon amongst the allies in the Northeast, they have lost. So I think they've completely miscalculated it. They are neither here, neither there with this bill.
All right, I just want to go across to Conrad Sangma. We spoke to the Meghalaya Chief Minister a short while back, and he he was talking about the fact that there was this situation in the northeast with the protests and all that. And I started actually by asking him, will the lapsing of this citizenship bill in Parliament actually mean that the protests will die down or not? And this is what he had to say.
No, I think the objective has been achieved. So therefore, I'm sure that the people who are against this bill and who have been fighting now, I'm sure that this entire protest will subside now.
Right, now, you had also planned to snap ties with the BJP over the weekend, even if it would be tabled. Now, it has been tabled, so what are your plans now?
We have been very clear that, of course, we are part of the NDA. But then when it comes to the interest of our people and when it comes to issues, if needed be, we being a party that is independent and having its own identity, we will always stand for our people and for the right of our people. So therefore, in this issue also, even though being part of an NDA, when we felt that this is going to harm our people, we took our stand. So as of now, we are pleased to see that the bill did not go through, and therefore our stand is very clear. And earlier we had decided to snap ties. That was if the bill was passed. So now I think that situation is not there anymore.
All right, Mr. Sangma, I have to also ask you: do you still think, or do you think that this is a self-goal for the BJP, even though the bill has not been passed and it's only been tabled?
No, I don't think I would like to comment on the political calculations. Even when we stood up against this particular bill, it was not with any kind of political calculation as such in our mind. We took this up as an issue. So what kind of situation politically will develop for the BJP and for others is really something that is not the appropriate time to discuss this issue. And I think we all took it up. If you looked at a situation, it was student bodies, NGOs, political parties across the platform came together in one voice. So clearly this was a very emotional issue for all of us, and that is what really matters. And I think the voice and the sentiments of the people were heard, and there was a voice of unity among the Northeast people, and I think that is really something that is the message that I think has come out of this, that if the unity is there among the people of Northeast, no matter what challenges we face, we'll be able to overcome those challenges. I think that is what is most important.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Mr. Sangma, for speaking to us. I just want to get a quick comment from the students in the Delhi University out here. What do you have to say about all that's taking place in the Northeast and the Citizenship Bill?
You know, as far as the politics is concerned and the Lok Sabha elections fast approaching, and BJP is trying to change, or perhaps the NDA is trying to change its game. Amit Shah saying that, let's not take up the temple. Then they are trying to play with the citizenship bill. Then they are trying to play with the triple talaq. Basically, it's all a futile exercise that, it's all math gone wrong for them. So now that, for the name's sake, they have tabled it. Of course, they know that, it's going to get lapsed and, it has to be introduced. They tried playing a safe game, but I surely don't think...
So you think the plan has failed, whatever it was?
It's an absolute big failure.
Okay. We're going to take a short break. And we're going to be back with the latest on all that's happening. We are out here trying to understand how the Northeast has actually reacted to it. It is a very emotive issue for the people of the Northeast. And, of course, it's been difficult just trying to report on it. And to some extent, we were able to reach out to it. But now that the Citizenship Bill has not been passed and it's lapsed, there are a lot of repercussions for the BJP. We'll look into that in just a bit. We have our guests with us. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Versus. We are asking the question about whether the Citizenship Bill will actually sink the BJP in the Northeast, despite the fact that it may not have been passed in Parliament today, the last day of Parliament, but it was tabled. And is that enough? The protests may have died down in each of the states, but we are being told that in each of the states, the protests in some form or the other, the pressure will be kept up on the BJP and the establishment in general. Shivam, I want to understand, take us through each state or whatever you can in terms of understanding how each state is so different and how the Lok Sabha elections will pan out despite it not getting passed in Parliament.
Okay, so there are some states like Manipur which are Manipur and Assam, which are very emotionally vested into their identities. So it's such a strong Ahomya pride and basically Manipuri versus Mayang politics at play that they don't even want people from other parts of India settling there. So there was obviously no question that they would accept people coming in from, say, Bangladesh and Pakistan or Afghanistan.
Not
and
people,
settling there.
Muslims, or I mean,
People
anyone.
from any religion. That's the point. They are so vested with their identity politics that they wouldn't even accept someone from mainland India. Forget other countries.
And we're talking about 6 religions out here. We're
Yeah,
talking about
so,
6
so,
religions:
if
Sikhs,
you-
Christians, Jains, Hindus, and of course 2 others.
So if you look at the politics of Arunachal, there are 2 tribes that have been settled there for the past 50 years. The Chakmas and the Hajongs that were, so there are over 1 lakh people who haven't got citizenship in the last 50 years. And a lot of local pressure stays there consistently to not grant these 1 lakh people citizenship. In a scenario like that, it should have been decently obvious to the BJP. In a state like Tripura, there was a demand for Tripura land, where the tribals claimed that their voices weren't being heard. They were being marginalized in society because of the 70% Bangladeshi Bengali Hindu population that's come into the state. With politics like this at play, every state has a very strong identity-based politics, which basically claims that people in that state need to have a right over the resources of that state.
Okay, but overall you're saying in the math, and it's all about the math, 25 seats, you're saying they were going to get 20, and now they'll get?
So it's at 5 or 6 right now.
Wow. Based on the BJP's own surveys.
So this is a team that did surveys for the BJP too.
Okay.
So,
All right, so I think that is the big point out here. The question is, does the BJP have the time to salvage the situation right now? Because it's just been tabled and they can turn around and say that, okay, why don't you think so?
No, the passions have been inflamed now. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle now, right? What you have now is that they are completely discredited. In fact, Sarbananda Sonowal, who was hailed as a Jatiya Nayak because he opposed, in 1983, he went and fought a case in Supreme Court. He's completely lost his credibility now.
One of the reasons why he lost it is because the other 2 BJP ministers from the northeast, they actually went to Rajnath Singh and asked the BJP to change its stand on introducing the Citizenship Bill, but he did not.
So he's lost his credibility now. It's undermined. They are, Delhi BJP is undermining their own leadership in Assam, for example. So this is going to take they're going to terrible hit now.
Okay.
Now they don't have a narrative in Northeast anymore that will gain traction.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything in the Northeast that you can go back from the 5 to 6 seats that you've reduced to, according to some surveys that have been conducted by teams that the BJP had employed in the past to win the elections there?
See, this bill is to protect the culture of the Northeast, and our government focused on development. We have done a lot. The schemes pending from last 30 years, we completed it. We are fully dedicated. Our Prime Minister, Home Minister clearly told that their interest will be protected. Northeast people will not be left anywhere behind.
Right.
So I think the people may be misguided with somebody, but it is sure that this bill is on the interest of the Northeast, not against the interest of the Northeast. But it is a matter of things.
Okay.
Then
We're completely out of time.
Because succession movement in Assam is going, and that will demolish the culture.
Okay. We're completely out of time.
Northeast.
Clearly, this is a discussion that we'll have to continue doing. That's it on Versus. Thanks so much for joining us.